What is going on, everyone?
What is going on, everyone?
We are back with another video discussing some Resident Evil 9 stuff. You know, we've been waiting for more information to come out, but, you know, we wanted to kind of take a look at some of the screenshots that we got when the initial press release came out last month, and, yeah, we found out some more stuff.
Yeah, so essentially, it's just been really quiet. After the developer message, there's really been no new information at all, other than the fact that there might be something shown in August.
Yeah, Gamescom will have a playable demo on the floor, basically. So if you're in Germany and you attend, you will be able to, in fact, play the demo. So I'm sure we'll get a little bit more details.
If it's new.
If it's new.
It might not. Yeah. It might be the same exact demo that they played, you know, this past couple months.
Yeah.
But if it is new, you know, that's cool. But there hasn't really been anything. So we were taking a look while we were working on some other stuff, and we were looking through the screenshots. And we stumbled upon something pretty interesting, and it's something that we haven't really seen anywhere else. Nobody else that we've seen has talked about it. I'm sure other people have talked about it by now because it's been there for a little while. But in these screenshots, Anthony, there is a medical center that we see in the trailer, and the medical center has the girl walking down with the tray, and off to the left there's a bulletin board, which you're seeing on screen now.
Yes.
I'm sure Anthony will zoom in here. What does that say, Anthony?
So the board says Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center, and we are suspecting that this is where the lady was walking down the hallway in the trailer, as well as where the demo may also take place, and part of the game as well. This is actually pretty cool because this does go back to a location in Outbreak.
Yeah, it doubles down on something that is mentioned. Now, it's not a location that you travel to in Outbreak, but it is a location that is referenced in the Underbelly level.
Yeah. Which
the canon character is Jim Chapman. In the, you know, the railroad area where the train station is and all that. Not necessarily the Kite Bros Railway that we see in RE3 Remake, because it's not listed on that map. However, it is listed on the what would you call that? The calling board or whatever. It's a calling board without the digitization that would be on a modern one, like flights to Atlanta from Georgia or whatever.
Yeah, or navigating
through
Atlanta
a subway.
To Georgia
is the same fucking place.
Yeah, or navigating
you know
through
what
subways
I mean.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Rhodes Hill to Old Court / New Lock Square. Now, we don't know where any of these areas are, really. We don't know exactly
the coordinates of the exact
coordinates
location.
of these places and where they're at. There's also Stoneville is another one that is referenced on the RE3 Remake map, which we know Stoneville has a significance. It's escaping me right now. We should have wrote it down, but it's Kendo mentions it, Stoneville. I believe it's a letter to either Barry to Kendo or Kendo to his brother, or one of those things mentions Stoneville. I think it's in the RE2 extra files.
Okay.
So Stoneville was a location that was mentioned at some point.
Yeah.
And like, I'll go to Stoneville, you should follow me, or whatever the case might be. What do you think about this? Doubling down on Outbreak.
Yeah, I like this.
This is interesting.
Yeah, this is the second Outbreak reference that we've seen at this point. The other one being obviously the Alyssa and Grace connection and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I think this makes sense if this is in a facility that is, you know, completely on the outskirts of this city that was not destroyed. Now, I'm assuming that if Grace is going to be going back to the remnants of your RPDs and your Raccoon City, the core of the city, that, you know, you might be visiting here first where the demo actually takes place, because everyone's saying the demo takes place here. This is where the game starts. So I'm gonna imagine that it starts here and it's gonna bring its way into the main core of where Raccoon City got basically destroyed.
Yeah, and the flyer, for those who are struggling to read it, if you're on your phone or whatever, it says, "Are you sure that your RNCCC number is on your medical card?" Which CCC, probably Chronic Care Center.
Yeah.
It almost looks like it says RH, which would be Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center number. So maybe that's not for customers, or I shouldn't say customers because you don't go to Chronic Care Center for, you know, I mean, somebody gets paid, but maybe it's actually for staff.
Yeah.
Maybe the medical card is something that you use to get around.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find it.
Yeah, something that
So
unlocked.
maybe that
Yeah.
RHCCC number is going to be used for puzzles.
Yeah.
Which we're obviously deep diving into this maybe more than it needs to be, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, because we always were saying during all of these videos really that we were making when it comes to location and going back to Raccoon City, what other places of this city or the outskirts of the city will we explore that we've never seen before?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this being the launching pad of the area where Grace is going to be starting off her journey coming back to Raccoon City? Do you think this is like a good starting point of a new area in Raccoon City?
So I think that it's...
Or the outskirts of the city?
Yeah, the outskirts of the city. I think that it makes sense. At some point, the apex of the missile is going to have to stop somewhere, right? The power of the missile. There's going to be suburbs or other towns or smaller towns or counties around Raccoon City.
Certain things that weren't hit by the initial blast.
Yes, these are also going to be areas where if people were escaping from the city, like a Jim Chapman or an Alyssa, this is the kind of area that they would have been put in. They would have stumbled into the city, and they would have found themselves in care centers getting checked out and all that stuff. I highly doubt they all escaped and then literally, like, went into hiding.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Alyssa's still very active in the world of Resident Evil after Raccoon City.
Yeah, the destruction, yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if this is where secret Umbrella people were staking out survivors escaping to run medical tests on as they got out.
Yeah.
Which could be what we're going to see, is that kind of thing. Maybe this is where Alyssa gets murdered. Later on, she comes back or whatever. The Renwood Hotel had some type of significance. We're not going to know until that comes to pass, right? I like it. I think exploring the areas directly around Raccoon City is really compelling and interesting. Just because, like, you imagine being out on your porch drinking coffee and just fucking thermal blast.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you cover that up, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be something. I know they said that it sterilized the city and they covered it up as a necessary thing for a plague outbreak or whatever lie they told the citizens. That sounds like the breeding of a lot of conspiracy theorists to me, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And this
So
could be part of what we might unravel and uncover. Like you mentioned, like there could have been more operations going on outside of the city to surveillance this whole, outcome.
Yeah,
surveil the whole outcome, because at the end of the day, like, this place does look like it's been upkept. Maybe this individual that is also the killer or, the man in the hood that we're, wondering who it is, maybe they're taking part in keeping this facility, well kept because this work and this experimenting has been going on for so long. Like it would explain why this place looks like the way it does, why it's still, because it looks so upkept that we thought this wasn't even in or around Raccoon City. Now, it still might not be, but this billboard kind of gives it away a little bit that it
could be
around the city.
It's at least within relatively easy train distance to be a regular destination.
Yeah.
Now, of course, living in the tri-state area in New Jersey, both of us know when you have transportation, something like a bus, it goes over to other states.
Absolutely.
So this could also be further away, but I feel like as a writer, you wouldn't do that. I feel like it would be closer.
Yeah.
So this is probably closer than Stoneville, which we still have yet to be. I just am wondering how close.
Yeah.
Is it abandoned now? Are we going to play this in a flashback and then in a rundown state?
We could.
We don't know yet, but it seems to be that the playtest was this area, so it just remains to be seen.
Overall, it's cool to see new areas that we have never explored before, and I like that they are connecting it to Outbreak yet again, even if this was something that was just in the underbelly, of Outbreak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that specific section kind of just gives you little hints and glimpses as to what's around the area, but we may never explore, because you just think, oh, well, this is just it's going to get destroyed. We're never going to come back here. And this kind of threw that curveball our way where it's like, no, you are going back to Raccoon City. You're going to the remnants. You're going around the city. So it's kind of cool that they really paid that close attention to detail, and hopefully they did for other things as well.
And that was one of the things that I really liked about RE3 Remake. One of the things I do think the change of the trolley car to the subway was a good change, because it was utilizing more of Raccoon City's
Yes.
like transportation.
I do agree. That's something that isn't really talked about.
Yeah.
In RE3,
and nothing really changed there. You still have Mikhail sacrifice himself. You still have Nemesis
connects.
crash.
Yeah, it still connects to the clock tower
Yeah.
section, even though we don't explore.
You still fight the next Nemesis afterwards. Like it's still in the spirit the same. Arguably, you know, what happens after the crash, obviously it's different, and everybody has their own opinion of that.
Yeah.
But I did like that change. I do like them using more of the unexplored areas in Raccoon City. And this being tied to the idea that even though it's not necessarily within the city, it has a tie of the mention in the city is really cool. It would be like them going to Stoneville instead. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I'm just really interested to see what's flashback and what's not, why this place is still standing, if it is still standing legitimately, or if it's being run by shady people.
Yeah, and it's being upkept, right? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, is this something where like because they're experimenting and they're trying to keep this thing secret, is it more like on the outside it looks like one thing, but on the inside it's completely different? Because a lot of people are saying that that's where this playable demo takes place, in this hospital or this facility, right?
Mental ward or whatever they're calling it. Chronic care center could be.
Yeah, and I'm curious if when people get their hands on the demo later in August, are they gonna, are we gonna get screenshots online of people like stopping and maybe taking a picture? I know it's gonna be hard when you're there in person to maybe take pictures of what you're playing, because there's gonna be Capcom people walking around,
and sometimes they don't let you.
Sometimes they don't let you take your phone out. So I'm curious if there's people gonna report back like, hey, I looked at this one section, but then at that point you don't know what's real and what isn't, because you don't know if someone's kind of exaggerating or they're giving you exact info. So yeah, we'll kind of see how this kind of James, come on, man. You're always in the shot.
It's all right. And the Chronic Care Center, too, another thing that I think is really interesting is Chronic Care fits the MO of Umbrella's testing. So is the really real truth of Umbrella that they stationed they were stationed in these care centers or the hospitals surrounding Raccoon City, so any of the survivors who got out, they were killing? Is the chronic thing that happened... Is the tragic thing that happened to Alyssa before she comes back here, was that she went to one of these and was attacked? Is that the flashback? We don't know.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Point. Yeah.
It's possible that she had Grace already. We don't know. We just know the timeline. So we don't know. There's a lot of questions we don't know. I would lean towards she didn't have Grace yet, but it's possible that the game's going to open with a flashback of playable Alyssa.
That would be awesome.
And then she goes back there because she puts two and two together, and that's where she gets murdered.
She's someone that found out this truth before it really comes out.
It comes full circle.
In this game,
Because I wouldn't put it past Umbrella to be in the military's pocket, lined up around the city, picking the survivors off.
The government playing a part in why these things were already covered up. There's just so many layers.
We already know that they were very helicopter about Raccoon City, because Leon and Claire and Sherry get out, and the canon is they get approached by the military.
Yes.
So we already know that nobody's getting out without
unscathed. Like there's some kind of, oh, by the way,
so is Alyssa hunted down and murdered because she's a survivor?
And she knows too much.
But they don't go after Leon because, number one, they know they can't kill him now because he's too veteran. They don't go after Chris because he left the country and he's now in BSAA. Jill's same thing. Like, there's a lot of ways.
Terrasave,
Carlos and Jill flew away on the helicopter. They didn't land anywhere. They got the fuck out of Dodge, right?
Left, yeah.
So there's a lot of curiosities. I'm really excited.
I think it's cool. I think it's really, one of those things where when you're going back to Raccoon City and you're finding out more, I think that if they miss that opportunity to explain more about the inner workings and what happened with the characters, I think that would be a missed opportunity. Because you should really open that up. Like you said, like there's so much layers, there's so much cover up, there's so many by the ways, like to go into, why Alyssa got there. Yeah, and that too. It's very subtle.
Not so on the nose like a Village, where it's like all of a sudden, boom, Spencer was here. This is all little things that you can play and enjoy this game without ever realizing Rhodes Hill is an Outbreak. And that's the kind of connections we like. That's the kind of connections we want to see.
Yeah.
We don't need necessarily our favorite characters to come back in Resident Evil. It's about the city. It's about the Umbrella connection.
Yeah, because the city is almost a character in and of itself because there's so much to
Umbrella is the antagonist.
Absolutely.
It's never was Wesker.
And it's never really went away, Umbrella.
No.
Even though it's said like, oh, Umbrella's finished. It's like it's always kind of been there.
No, the most interesting thing about 7 is Blue Umbrella. And they didn't do anything with it. It's just in the one DLC. Like, it was so interesting. I want to know more about those characters. And that's what I wanted from Village. And that's why part of the reason why we didn't get a lot of stuff out of Village for us to enjoy was because there was no follow-up with Blue Umbrella.
We were looking for more within that.
And then Village did the same thing. The most interesting part about Village was the final 2 minutes about BSAA possibly using bioweapons. And then, boom, we're never going to see it again. It's like history repeated itself with those 2 games, which is why we don't necessarily like it as much as most fans do.
Right.
Because we're more about the connections and the gameplay, of course, as well.
Absolutely.
Which 7 was great. The gameplay for 7 was great, and I do enjoy the fresh take on horror. Village, not so much, but that's a dead horse we know. That I just keep beating, but I'm genuine, so I'm going to keep bringing it up because it's valid.
Well, when you're talking about 9, it's hard to not talk about 7
because
and
it's
8,
the cap of the trilogy.
Right, yeah. Whether this is connected as a trilogy or not, this is following up these 2 main games that and essentially were part of this coming back of the franchise when Resident Evil came back from the ashes, so to speak, with 7, all the remakes, onward, right?
It's soft reboot without losing canonicity.
Exactly.
It was a new, fresh take on let's return to our slower roots. The action got out of hand, there's nothing wrong with that. I just think it went from being slow to too actiony, too fast again. It was like we had 1 through relatively 4, mostly 4 was more action, but 1 through 4, Code Veronica, I should say, very slow-paced, very methodical horror with some action elements. And then 4 kind of took over, and then when we had the soft reboot, it was like 7 was slow, and then they came out with the remakes, which were all kind of more fast, and then Village was fast.
Yeah.
So maybe too fast, we'll see. But this seems to be going back to that slower. It's going to be a middle ground maybe between Village and 7.
I love that. I love to see zombies come back, some more traditional BOWs. We already have the new Stalker enemy that we've talked about. So we're really just trying to stay hopeful because everything we've seen so far we genuinely like and have given you our honest response on what we've seen so far.
Just like we did with Village when leading up to Village.
I
was excited for Village too. I'm really excited for this. This is the stuff that makes me even more excited. But I do have to ask you a question, Anthony.
Yeah.
If this place is abandoned, which means it's just these couple of villains or weird people in this hospital ward or whatever, and since it's called Rhodes Hill, if it's abandoned, is it a Silent Hill? It's a good question, right?
Yeah.
That's how we'll leave the audience.
Yeah.
Is it a Silent Hill?
Is it a Silent Hill?
Because if there's nothing happening outside and it's a hill, is Rhodes Hill silent? That's all I'm going to say.
Is it silent? Well,
that's all I'm
we don't know. We don't know how silent this Rhodes Hill is, but it's just cool to see, like you said, cool to see the connection, and I'm hoping to see more bits of Raccoon City that we haven't seen. So let us know your thoughts.
Or surrounding Raccoon City.
Surrounding outskirts of Raccoon
the outskirts.
City, I should
and
say.
we might see we're obviously going to see inside because they wouldn't show it. I mean,
I would hope
they could show it.
They
and
could
not
show
take
it,
there,
and
but
not. Yeah, I would hope that they would leave all those bits in there for us to see.
The Chronic Care Center is also attached to the RPD.
Yeah, it's just on the other other end that you've never seen.
The elevator in Zero does lead, in fact, to the Chronic Care Center.
These nests and these underground stuff, it's not as far as you think. But we'll see. That's another thing that we'll have to explore as we get further into the RE9 bits here. But let us know your thoughts down below, what you think of, not only the Rhodes Hill Chronic Center, but just the character of Raccoon City, because I think that's probably what this video might be called.
And these tiebacks, too.
Yeah,
let us know. Do you like the subtle little tiebacks where it's like, oh, that's really cool, but it's not major, but it's cool that Rhodes Hill was talked about in Outbreak, and now it's coming back. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, talked about's a loose term. It was a sign on the wall.
Yeah.
But it's still there.
It's still being referenced.
Yeah.
So.
Will we find a file? Here's my prediction. This is what I'll leave it off with before you wrap it up. We will find a file in the Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center that dates back to 1998, and we will get a canon event of one of the Outbreak survivors dying here.
I think that would be cool.
That's
I think
my
that would
hope.
be cool. Yeah.
Which one we're gonna kill? I don't know. Probably Yoko because
Or
she's
Jim.
the umbrella.
But yeah, who knows who they're gonna kill off or not even mention.
That's
but
a prediction.
that's
just
a
saying.
prediction. But I mean, honestly,
You heard it here first.
So many Outbreak references. I feel like just having a little drop of like another character from Outbreak would be cool, even if it's in a file.
Yeah.
So yeah, just let us know your thoughts down below on all this stuff and what we mentioned, and stay tuned for more videos. We have a lot of exciting stuff lined up. Not even just RE9, just podcast stuff and all that goodness. So stay tuned. Hit the like button.
Peace.
Subscribe. Peace out.